Figuring out what tools to include in a motorcycle toolkit can be quite the challenge. And I'm just about to assemble a kit for my Savage, and I thought I would bring you along to show you how I face that challenge. Before we start assembling the tools, I want to talk about what kind of toolkit we will be making. When it comes to toolkits that goes on your bike, I like to talk about two different toolkits. The travel toolkit and the EDC, or everyday carry toolkit. Maybe I should call it the EDR, the everyday ride toolkit. The EDC toolkit is the kit that you bring on every ride. It never leaves your bike, it's always there, and the only time you take it off is when you are actually using it. And this is the toolkit I will be making today. The travel toolkit is much larger and is meant for longer rides. It contains more tools and allows you to perform more jobs. And speaking about jobs, that's the next thing we need to figure out. What jobs do we want to get done with these tools? If there's a job that you don't feel comfortable doing in your garage, you probably won't feel more comfortable by the side of the road. So really no use in bringing tools for that. And remember, this is your everyday riding toolkit. It's meant for your day-to-day riding. If you're going further, you should probably bring your travel toolkit. With that in mind, these are the jobs I want to get down with this toolkit. First one, tightening things. Screws, bolts, nuts, everything that makes sure this bike stays together. If something is about to fall off, I want to make sure it stays on. Adjusting things like throttle, clutch, brake, mirrors, handlebars, everything just to make sure I have a smooth ride. And lastly, fixing minor things. Everything that can be fixed with zip ties and electrical tape, I want to be able to fix. Now that we know what jobs we want to get done, we need the tools to do them. My technique is quite simple. I choose a fastener like this one that holds the exhaust. It's actually a Phillips head. Let me grab that. Make sure it fits. This is now the first item in our must-bring pile. I then move on to the next fastener. I think that's on number 12. Let's see. Yes, it is. Second item in the must-bring pile. And I just continue doing this for the whole bike. And remember to remove the seat and pay especially close attention to the handlebars. There are quite a few strange fasteners up there. As you get further along, you will notice that a lot of fasteners use the same size spanner. There aren't actually that many different sizes being used, but you can actually take that further. If you find a size that is only used in one or maybe two places, you can always replace it. The fewer types of fasteners you have, the fewer tools you need to bring, and it makes it a lot easier to find the right one in a pinch. Another thing worth mentioning is that I prefer using spanners. And that's because there are some places that you actually can't reach without using a spanner, like this locking nut on the rear wheel, for example. And even though sockets can be super space efficient, I don't want to bring both sockets and spanners, so I only bring the spanners. With this pile of tools, I have the tightening and the adjusting of things covered. For fixing things, I will add a roll of electrical tape. Quick tip, if you can't fit a full roll of tape, you can actually wrap it around a spanner to save some space. Zip ties, a piece of wire, a spare fuse, and this little blade knife I 3D printed. Pretty awesome, right? And with that, I have everything I need. There are actually two fasteners that I won't bring any tools for. That's the fork tube caps and the steering stem head cap. They want a 27 and a 30mm spanner, and that is just way too big to bring. And honestly, I can't really see a scenario where I will need those. But I guess now I just jinxed it, so my next breakdown will probably be losing both my fork tubes and my whole front end rattling loose. Make sure you subscribe, because that is a video you don't want to miss. For the next step, I will show you something that not all motorcycle owners knows about. A lot of bikes, especially if it's a bit older, actually already comes with a toolkit. But if you have put aftermarket parts on your bike, it might not be complete. And if you are not the first owner, some tools might have gotten lost throughout the years. This is the toolkit that came with my Savage. And I will just go ahead and empty that out into another pile. And now it's just a matter of going through the must-bring pile and trying to find a match in the other pile. A pretty neat thing about these Japanese toolkits are that they often come with these double-headed spanners. Like this one, for example. It has a 14 in one end and a 17 in the other one. And that can actually save a lot of space. So if you can, I will highly recommend getting a few of these. And if you can't find them, just make them yourself. It's just a matter of chopping 2 spanners and welding them back together. And that way you can actually mix and match to get exactly the sizes you need. The only thing that wasn't included in the stock kit were these Allen wrenches, so I will just leave them in. I also have a few extras over here, and some of them quite frankly looks a bit strange, so let's have a quick chat about them. This right here is a drive belt tension gauge. It's pretty cool, but it's also very specific to this bike, so it stays in the kit. This is a spark plug socket, and it actually accepts a 17mm spanner right here. Pretty neat. This is a 24mm spanner for the rear axle, and this flat tube right here, that's actually an extension for it. This is a 14mm socket, and you are actually supposed to use it with a screwdriver just like this. And this is just a set of pliers. And all of this is going in the kit. And lastly, I'll put a magnet in there. It has 2 great use cases. If you ever worked on a motorcycle, you know that you are doomed to drop stuff. It's hard enough to find a drop nut in the garage, but imagine trying to find it in the grass by the side of the road. That's when a magnet can really save the day. And if you manage to remove a nut without losing it, where should you put it? Well, the magnet, of course. And that's it, and here's a quick overview of all the tools I will include in my EDC toolkit. That's my EDC toolkit. I'm sure that I forgot something, and I'm sure that you have great ideas on what to include in it. Please share those down in the comments and we can all have a conversation about it. Now I just need a nicer way to store my tools because this plastic pouch just won't cut it. That will be my next video, and you can check it out right there, or you can check out this video right there. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye!